Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Bream Fishing Project. In this episode, we are headed off to St Georges Basin on the south coast of New South Wales to review the Hobie Fishing Series Round 9, which was brought to you by Burley Pro and Fish Tech Solutions. I did have the pleasure of going in and fishing this one with some pretty sad results. However, it was a really good weekend. A couple of things coming up. We saw our winner win by just over a kilo. We saw who ended up being Batman and Robin. So between Simon Morley and Tony Petty, who was Batman for round 9 and who was Batman for the season? Going to reveal that at the end of this episode. Yeah, great comp, tough round, only I think 3 full bags. So I'm going to roll the intros and we're going to get into all the details about what happened down at St Georges Basin. Here we go.
Welcome to the Bream Fishing Project. This is where you need to be every Tuesday to find out all the latest tips and tricks to help you target bream on lures. You'll get to hear from some of Australia's elite bream competition anglers and see how they were able to achieve their results in competitions around the country. Now, here's your host, the 2019 Hobie Kayak Fishing World Champion, Andrew Deeth.
Okay, so what I might do is I'm going to run through the bite periods and what have you for this round. We'll get into the divisions and then into the angler interviews. Lots to talk about here. All right, so October 4 and 5 in 2025. On the Saturday, we had 60 in the fish activity wheel with a major bite period at 8:02 through to 10:32. High tide was at 6:12 a.m. at 1.18, running down to a low tide at 11:51 a.m. at 0.44. On the Sunday, apparently slightly better conditions with 74 in the fish activity wheel, a major bite period at 9:49 through to 12:19. High tide was at 7:49 at 1:29, 1.29 with a low tide at 1:39 at 0.32. Now, a couple of things about this round. On the Sunday, we had the nor'wester come through, which typically for me is not my favorite wind down there. And that probably showed a little bit with the bag weights on the Sunday. We also had daylight savings changeover on the Saturday night, which meant everyone got up an hour earlier on the Sunday, which was a little tough for some. Let's run through the divisions. So the Anaconda Big Bream winner was Ben Harrison with a fish of just under a kilo at 0.99. Luke Rogan took out the Monster Mover. So Luke coming back on day one with 0, I reckon that was a play for Monster Mover, which he did take out at 1.95. The division winner, Leanne Cowan, she got 3 fish on the Saturday for 1.97, which was a cracking bag. Unfortunately, didn't quite get there on the Sunday, but still was enough to take out the women's division. And I think it left her in maybe 12th or 13th place. It was pretty decent. There you go, 12th place. Our Masters was taken out by Peter Nord, who had 2.62. Once again, another cracking bag on the Saturday at 1.99, and then just the one fish on the Sunday at 630 grams. All right, let's roll into the angler interviews. And then when we come back, I'll tell you who's Batman, who's Robin. How about that? Okay, guys. So first up, in third place, I have an angler dropping 3 fish on the Saturday for 1.85. Backed it up on the Sunday with just 2 fish for 1.3, which gave him a total weight of 3.15 kilo and third place. I'd like to welcome back to the Bream Fishing Project, Rick King. Welcome back, mate.
Hey, Davey.
Mate, here we are again. You've got another result, and it hasn't been that long.
Yeah, I'm in a bit of a purple patch, aren't I? Like, this year has been a cracking year for me.
It has. It has. Did you check out where you were on AOY for the year?
Yeah, I was sitting 6th up until the Basin round, and I was trying to beat that Ryan Honeybrook bloke in AOYs, but
No.
he just pipped me by 5 points, I think. So he jumped me and went to 6th or 5th. I think he went to 5th, and I went to 7th.
Well, there you go. Well, still pretty good, mate. 7th is pretty tidy.
Cracking year.
That's it. Well, mate, here's the next year, mate. Hopefully you have another good year.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Very good. All right, let's talk about the Basin, mate. You're just out of Baril. Tell us what you did on pre-fish day.
Pre-fish, Warren Allen and Daryl Sillis and myself, we didn't pre-fish it, so we decided to just go to the beach and have a swim.
Very nice, mate. Very nice.
So we just a bit of R and floated around like humpback whales out the back there, and
Very good, very good.
was relaxing.
Yeah, but did you retie all your leaders and do all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, we retied Friday afternoon over a couple of bevos and started to put the thinking cap on and got serious, ready for Saturday morning.
Fair enough. And did you have any sort of game plan, or was it just sort of get on the start line and head out?
I had a game plan. I was always going to hit the islands. It was just going to be like wind, where the wind was coming come from, and when it was going to come. So yeah, that was my plan right from the get go kind of thing.
Okay, well, tell us how it played out. So you headed off the start line straight to the islands. How'd you go about catching some fish?
So yeah, on Saturday, just straight off the start line and headed straight for that inside island. And I started off cranking in that 1 metre of water with some shallow pro lure, the combat. And it wasn't long until I had my first fish. So I thought, oh, well, they're here. They're here. So I persevered with the shallow pro lure combat and stung a second fish. So that was probably around 8 o'clock. And then the wind sort of dropped down, and I'm like, oh no, I'll come out a little bit deeper. So yeah, I just bounced from the inside island to the outside island in that 1 metre to 2 metre range, depth range, and just grinded out on Saturday. And I ended up getting my third fish probably just before lunch
Okay.
on a stealth blade, one of Peter
A
Cook's
cookie's blade.
blades, yeah, in around that 2.2 metres of water.
Okay. So you basically started off in shallowish, like in a meter of water. What was the weed situation in there?
There wasn't much weed in there. There was a lot of like that green snotty weed. I found if the lure was just touching the bottom, it
Hmm.
was picking up a lot of that green snotty weed on the hooks.
Yeah, yuck.
Yeah, it was a pain. So then I thought, oh, I'll go out a little bit deeper and just slow the crank down a little bit so it wasn't digging into the sand as much.
Hmm.
And that was still producing not as much weed on the hooks, but I was still getting weed on the hook. So then I just changed to a more aggressive crank to like dig that bib into the sand.
Hmm.
So hopefully, like none of the weed would get on the hooks. And I seemed to feel that that was working a lot better.
Okay. So you basically you got the just the too early on the crankbaits and then out in just around that 2.2 meter mark with a stealth blade.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's a tough was a tough comp.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it wasn't easy fishing, but like I said, I had a plan and I wanted to fish the islands because everyone knows the islands will produce if the wind's there.
Mm,
And literally, yeah, just grind it out.
yeah. Yeah. And as it turns out, you ended up with I think 1.85, which was a pretty decent like that's a pretty decent basin bag at the moment.
Yeah, I was happy with that. 3 fish, 185. I thought, oh, that would keep me in the top 10 maybe.
Yeah.
And yeah, as it turned out, I think I was fifth overnight.
Yeah, okay. So definitely right up there in the mix.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So then for day two, what was your plan? Like you've got three fish, so it's probably no. I don't think anything's really anyone's really that confident they're going to get three after only getting three. What were you thinking?
On the Saturday, Adam Lalor and Grant, they were on the island also,
Hmm.
and they produced bags on Saturday also.
Yeah.
And I think from memory, the Saturday there was only 15 people from the comp that actually got bag.
Hmm.
So my mindset was for Sunday to do it again.
Yeah.
There was no question at all what I was and or what I was going to do. I was always going to grind it out again at the islands.
Yeah. Okay. With the Pro Lure, is a combat the main one you're using at the moment?
Down there, for some reason, I like that colour. Like the water, it was a bit murky as well. Like the clarity of the water was probably right for the combat. That's why I was stuck with the combat. But no, I throw a range of hard bodies, the hurricanes and pro lures.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. Well, tell us about the Sunday. The weather was a little bit different. We had a whole lot of glassed out, glassed out conditions for quite a long time.
Yeah, so Sunday again, yeah, I headed for that inside island again and just pretty much rinse and repeat what I done on Sunday. Went straight into that metre of water because there was a little bit of wind in the morning, and then around that 8 o'clock mark, she just glassed out. I was fortunate enough to stick my biggest fish of the Sunday real early, and once again in that metre of water on the Pro Lure Shallow Combat. And then I really struggled. Like once that wind stopped blowing, I was trying pretty much everything. I threw the whole kitchen sink at it. Like,
Yeah, right.
yeah, I've worked all different depths. So from a metre, metre and a half, 2 metres, 2.5 metres, 3 metres, kind of thing. And yeah, I was just stuck. Then I was just throwing the blade, like Cookie's blade, out a little bit deeper. Yeah.
Yeah. And how long did it take you to jag the second one?
The second one, the Hobie boat came over and was just having a chin wag with me. And I was on the second island, like the furthest island away. No, just chilling, and I was just blading away out there, and I clunk. And I went, oh, here we go. We got a bit of Hobie media mojo.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
how good's this? This is probably around 11:30, I think
Yep.
they come over.
Okay.
And yeah, went clunk, and I went, oh, this is a proper one.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, got it to the boat. It was a trevally.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And then I reset again, and I could see fish on the sounder. So
Mm,
this was in around that 2.2, 2.5 meters of water.
yeah.
And mind you, it was still glassed out. Like I've never seen water so still. It was like a mirror.
Yeah.
So I kept persisting with the blade up and down. And then Hobie boys left, and then I stuck another fish. Like I thought, oh, this is another trevally. Like, oh, what's happening?
Yeah.
Got it halfway up, and I could see like, oh no, this is a brim.
Nice.
So it took me time, and yeah, got it in the boat. So my second fish probably come around 12 o'clock.
Right. Okay. So, all right, getting on.
Yeah, and I thought put that in. I thought, oh, that's good. I've got two fish. The noise is everyone's struggling to get a bag.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh, hopefully I stay in that top five, top six type position. Anyway, we're still there, blading away. And then all of a sudden we had that, I think it was a northwest or a westerly, just picked up out of nowhere
It
at
did, didn't it?
around that 12:30,
Yep.
like, and it blew. Like,
Yep. It really did.
so then I snuck back in to a metre and a half, that metre of water,
Mm,
started rolling the Pro Lure crank again.
okay.
I got a flathead, and then I got another flathead.
Oh,
I'm looking at the clock. I'm thinking it's probably going to take me a good 40, 50 minutes to get back.
yeah, it was yuck.
Yeah, I've got to leave around that 10 past one kind of like mark. Anyway, kept rolling, crank, clunk. And Adam Lalor was probably 5 meters away from me
Right.
because I actually pulled up next to him and said, oh, I'm cooked. Like I
Yeah.
sort of gave up. Like,
Yeah.
and I said, do you want to have a social fish? And he's like, yeah, let's go. Let's just have a yak and a fish. And we're just rolling cranks, having a yak kind of thing, and blunk. I went, wow, this is a proper fish again.
Yeah. Wow.
And the waves are like a foot high kind of thing, and the boat was turning and twisting, and I'm fighting this fish and pulled hooks on it.
Oh, no. So that would have been fish three.
Yeah, that would have been me. That would have been me bag. I did get a look at him. He was probably, I don't know, around that 750, 800 gram mark. Like,
Yeah.
it was
Enough.
a good fish, yeah. So it's still hurting now.
Still making you sad.
Yeah.
It's a tough one, mate. It is a tough one.
But Adam Whaley, he was happy. He goes, ha ha.
Fair enough. Sounds like he had a whole lot of sympathy for you.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. And look, before we move off the fishing, mate, what were you said you slowed it right down when you were cranking. Were they taking it on a pause or was it just a slow roll and they'd pick it up?
Yeah, just a slow roll, like no pausing, just slow rolling it.
Yeah, okay. Well, there you go, mate.
The ones that wanted to eat it ate it, and then others were just touching it.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, there you go, mate. 5 fish weekend, still good enough to put you in third. Pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, it was good.
Fair enough. All right. For third place, mate, what did you get to take home?
I got 550 cash. Got my first trophy, believe it or not.
Very nice.
First Hobie trophy. That's in the main section of the house, right at the front door. So when people walk in, they see it.
Yeah, that's where it should be.
So yeah, I was pretty proud about my first trophy.
Yep.
Show bag of goodies. I think it was a $50 Anaconda voucher and some lures and stuff in the bag.
Yep. Very nice. And for seventh place, you're already well and truly qualified for the AC anyway.
Yeah, AOY's seventh spot.
Yeah, that's right.
It was a good year.
Yeah, that's really good. All right, mate. Last thing before we shoot off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Just the boys that I travel away with, Ryan, Wazza, Daryl. It's good fun, like Steve, Tackle Addiction, he hooks me up with all the gear,
Mm-hmm.
always there for me. And just Hobie, I suppose. Like they run a hell of a show down there, and yeah, just putting on a great gig like they do.
Exactly, mate. And mate, bigger and better for next year too. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I heard a sneaky rumor that the calendar could be out.
Yep. Well, by the time this airs, it'll be well and truly out. But as we speak, it's coming out tomorrow morning.
Ooh,
There you go.
can't wait for that.
Very good, mate. All right. Well, mate, thank you so much for coming on again. Good luck in the New South Wales tournaments and the East Coast Bream Series finals. I hope you do well there and maybe we'll get a chance to have a chat again.
Hope so. Fingers crossed.
All right, mate. Take it easy.
Thanks, Evie. See you, mate.
See you, mate. Okay, so up next in second place, we have an angler dropping his 3 fish on the Saturday for 2.15 kilos, backing it up on the Sundays with 3 fish for 1.35, giving him a total weight of 3.5. And second place, with me, I have Adam Lalor. Welcome to the show, mate.
Thanks, Davey.
Mate, it is good to see you up in the top there, getting some good results, not just for this comp, but for the season.
Yeah, no, I've had a pretty good season and, to finish it out with the second was, it's awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely. I must admit, I missed a lot of the actual weigh-in. I was quite happy to see your name called after third was called. So that was pretty good.
Yeah, well, I was a bit worried because the second day I struggled a little bit more than the first and wasn't sure I was going to stay up there. So, but yeah, managed to sneak in there, which is great.
Absolutely. All right, mate. So this was a particularly tough round for a lot of people. Tell us about your pre-fishing, getting ready for the competition.
So for pre-fish, we didn't probably get to the boat ramp until about 9 a.m. or pretty late. Had a bit of a sleep in. And then we launched at the boat ramp near the islands there. I think Island Point Boat Ramp or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Because the wind was blowing fairly.
Yeah, near the little.
Yeah, it was blowing fairly hard from the west. So we thought we'd save our legs a little bit and launch in the centre of the arena and then see where we went from there. So basically, launched from the boat ramp there and headed out to the west side of the first island there, closest to the boat ramp.
Yeah.
And just having a bit of a look around, I started throwing a rolling crank, I think in the brown Suji.
Okay.
And a few casts in, I hooked one up, which was fantastic. So only in about 1 to 1.5 metres of water. So I thought that's a good start. And then I moved across between the islands and I've got another one on the same lure in a similar sort of depth, maybe a little bit deeper, maybe pushing out a little bit more to 1.7. And from then on, I moved along the island and just kept picking up fish. So,
wow.
Yeah, I had a really good pre-fish. So I left the area basically from that point on. I had a bit of a plan there. I knew there was some fish there. And I headed across to One Tree Point, I think it is, on the other shoreline.
Yep. That's a fair paddle across in the wind there.
Yeah, it was out there. And it was quite breezy. It was probably 15, 20 odd knots, like quite windy. And pulled up there in maybe 2 metres of water, 2.5 metres of water, and didn't really get a great deal, a little bit of bycatch. And I thought I'd just push right up onto the shoreline and see, if there was anything fairly tight to the shore, maybe in half a metre of water or so. And I pulled one out of there as well. So
Right.
that was on the same lure, I think, but in the mid runner rather than the deep runner. Then from then on, I thought I knew where the fish were going to be. So I moved from there into deeper water to see whether I can find them out in the deeper water as a bit of a backup in case something changed. And I really couldn't find them in the deeper water at all. I was getting bycatch or snapper and bits and pieces, but could find plenty of bait, just couldn't pull any brim off them. And then started heading, this is probably getting later in the day now, this is probably, say, midday, headed across to the eastern side of the islands, on the edge of the flat there. And I picked another one up on a weedy Suji rolling crank.
Okay.
And they're all around the same size, they're all around probably that 500 gram, 450, 500 gram. They weren't huge fish, but there was quite a few there. I think I pulled 9 fish up on pre-fish. So from that point, I sort of thought that's a pretty solid pre-fish. So I actually called it a day and headed back to the boat ramp. Went back to camp, re-rigged and tied a whole heap more rolling cranks on basically. And a few new leaders and had a plan for day one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That, mate, in terms of the fish that was down there, that was a good number of fish. It seems like you developed a bit of a pattern in the sort of shallowish water. So not real shallow, but with hard bodies.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with it. Every other time I've been down there, I've really struggled to put a bag together and to pull that amount of fish on pre-fish. I thought it's firing, you know what I mean? I thought it was really, really good in that depth of water. So, but day one was a good day. But
Yeah, right. I was going to say, to think that it was firing, to be fair, I didn't go out for very long on pre-fish at all, and I didn't catch a fish, but good pre-fish. All right, let's roll into the Saturday. Yeah, tell us what you decided to do and how your day sort of worked out.
So Saturday, I went straight to the first location on the western side of, I think it's Spectacle Island or something, I think it might be called, where I got my first fish on pre-fish. But it was a very different day. It was almost glassed out. So anyway, I pulled up there. I started throwing same rolling crank around at that point, the brown Suji, and wasn't getting any interest. And then I think it might have been Peter Nord pulled up maybe 50 metres to my right. I think it was first cast. He landed a fish, and I thought, I still might be here. I just, might have to grind it out a little bit. And didn't get a fish. So then I basically done the same run. So I started working my way across the western side of the islands, and I see a few other people catching fish, and I just could not land one.
Wow, frustrating.
Yeah, especially after such a strong pre-fish. And I moved around that location, moved out into deeper water a little bit, out to, maybe 2.5 metres of water, still couldn't find any. Came back into the islands, then tried on the eastern side of the islands, still didn't find any. And now it's starting to get fairly late. This is probably 9, 10 o'clock, I suppose. So I thought, I'm going to go and try the other shoreline, back over to One Tree Point and see whether they're there. I think the wind had a huge influence on it for me. I think being glassed out at that point, I was struggling. It was very different to the westerly we had the day before.
Yeah.
So went across to One Tree Point, couldn't pull a fish there either, and worked my way along. I'm not sure whether it's up to Kangaroo Point, maybe the next point along the weed bank shoreline.
Yep, sounds right.
No joy. Went out into the deeper water. Same thing, just picking up little snapper. And then by this point, the breeze had picked back up. So I moved back across onto the islands, hoping that it might have started to do the same thing, even though it was coming from the other direction. The breeze was a sou'easter, I think. Started to pick up on the flats over there. So pulled up on the flats and worked my way between the islands. I think actually you weren't too far away from me there for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I pulled up off the point of the southernmost island, I suppose you'd say, and just started bombing them downrange with the wind behind me, getting in really long casts with the shallow, weedy Suji diet wire rolling crank.
Okay.
And I just slowed it right down, like to the point that you couldn't really even feel the lure working that well on the rod, like dead slow. And first cast of the fish, and I'm only fishing 2-pound lines, so everything's a bit of a fight, you know what I mean? Took a little bit of time to get him gingerly. I didn't want to lose him, pull the hooks on him. So got him up to the kayak, landed him, beautiful. I think that was like a six 40-gram maybe, something like that. So not a bad fish.
Good start.
And
Yeah,
it's a good start. First fish in the well. At this point, it's probably about midday, so it's about 12 o'clock. So I'm starting to run out of time. So yeah, and then anyway, next cast, you wouldn't believe it, hooked up again. I think it was an 8:20 or an 8:30 straight up. So it was two fish casts.
Yeah.
I think Dougie Baker wasn't that far away from me, and I remember him yelling out, trying to find out what I was doing because he reckons I'd brained them, but I'd had no until that point. And then third cast, it was the same thing, another 630 or 640 gram fish, one after the other, all three fish, cast after cast.
Wow. Okay. So you've gone till midday more or somewhere around that time with no brim, 3 casts later, full bag and a decent bag.
Yeah, that's correct.
Wow.
So I thought I was onto something great then. And next cast, hooked up again, and it was a trevally.
Right, okay.
And then I think I dropped a brim, but straight after that.
Yep.
That was pretty well it for my day one. At that point, it was getting pretty late in the day, so I started working my way back.
Yeah. I think that's a really interesting day. Like I said, you've gone most of the day. You had a plan because you'd caught fish the day before, and then nothing. And then, within 10 minutes or whatever that time frame was, full bag.
Yeah, I reckon I don't know, I jagged it, I think, just been in the right place at the right time, I think. You could see the water was sort of pushing between the islands with that wind off that point, and I think it had something to do with it. That's why I originally pulled up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it paid off, so it was good.
Yeah. And, mate, you got a bag, anything over 2 kilos is pretty fair in the basin. Where'd that have you, maybe third on day one?
Yeah, I was in third overnight, yes, yeah.
Yeah, how good's that? All right. So given all that sort of stuff, what was your plan day 2? What do you think you were going to do before you got out there?
Day 2, because it was glassed out again, there was no wind again. It was, it was like a mill pond. Mm. But I sort of figured day 1, I lost a lot of time travelling across to One Tree Point, heading along that shoreline where I did no good at all, and coming back to the island where I basically started. So the wind was meant to pick up later in the day. So I thought I'm just going to grind it out at the islands, similar sort of depth to what I had done where I got those 3 fish, and hope that it paid off and hope that the wind come in earlier.
Yeah.
So that was me plan.
I was going to say the wind was quiet there for a long time.
Yeah, it was very late, I think. Yeah, I think it was after midday. So
yeah, wow. All right. Tell us, how'd you go? Did you get any in the morning then?
I did. I got one early, right on the edge of the island, along the edge of the weed bed there, maybe in a half a metre of water on the same weedy, sugey rolling crank. So, yeah, that was a good start, and I thought it was going to be somewhat of an easy day. But after I got that one fish, there was nothing until, I'd say, almost until that wind started to pick up.
Yeah, okay.
But I couldn't get anything off the flats there at all. I went out into maybe 3 metres of water, still wasn't doing any good. And then I decided to swap over to the Hurricane Vibes 37, I think maybe in Camo Crab.
Yeah, okay.
And just start, vibing the bottom and seeing if there was something out a little bit deeper. I was out there for maybe half an hour and picked one up. And I think they were all around that 450 gram mark. So they weren't huge fish, but putting a bag together.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was pretty happy to get my second one.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, and then Rick King actually wasn't fishing that far away from me, so I knew he was sort of not that far off in weight either. So we went up and had a bit of a chin wag, to see how he was going. He had 2 as well in the well, so we were very close weight-wise.
Mm.
So it was a bit of a competition to see who could get the last fish, basically, to see who was going to come out on top.
Yeah.
So we're fishing together, and I've managed to jag one. It's getting close to time to head back because that wind's starting to kick up now. It's a bit of a pedal straight back into that with a long well of water. So hooked the third one on the Camo Crab Vibe, and same thing, drag back right off, gingerly, didn't want to pull the little trebles out, and landed it, and I was happy then. I basically said to Rick, I'm heading back. As I was heading off, he managed to hook up as well, which
right.
It's back on again, but he dropped the fish, unfortunately. But
I was going to say, based on the results here, it didn't pan out that way.
No, it didn't. So I started because of the breeze picking up, and the time to get back there. I thought I'll head back and maybe fish the flat out the front of the creek there, just in front of the launch there.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got back there, must have been maybe 20 past 1 or something like that. And I've power poled down, first cast, nothing, second cast, nothing. And then me live well, you hear the pump start grinding up sticks or something. And it short lost the live well completely. So I thought it's probably only 20 minutes of fishing left, but I'm going to head back to shore, sort me fish out rather than, having issues and, being worried about it. So
Yeah, absolutely.
that was basically my day. Yeah.
Wow. So just the three, was it 3 bream on the Sunday?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And
Saturday, then Sunday, it was only 3 bream. Yeah.
right. Okay. So on the Saturday, they're all on rolling cranks. On the Sunday, it was 1 rolling crank and 2 Vibe 37s, 35s.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Yeah. No upgrades, no downgrades. There was there was no undersized fish. It was just those ones.
Yeah, I mean, to put it in perspective, there was only 3 full bags for the whole competition. So, it may have only got 3 fish, but it was better than most people could sort of work out. So.
Oh, yeah, no, I was very happy, especially the basin. I've never put 2 full bags together there. So, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And from what I can understand, you're on 2 pound the whole weekend?
Yeah, for the most part, on 2 pounds straight through fluorocarbon. Yeah.
Nice.
I thought because of the tougher bite, the lighter line obviously might help somewhat. So I didn't want to go light enough. So 2 pounds where it's at, I suppose.
Yeah, I was going to say once you go 2 pound, there's nothing less, or at this point anyway. All right. What sort of rod and reel are you liking at the moment?
For this round, mostly I was using Miller Flats Freaks.
Okay.
So they're longer rod. I think they're 7.9 or 7.10 or something around that length. So I like them with the 2 pound line. You get a really long cast out of them. And I also feel because of the length of the rod, gives the fish a little bit more leverage over you so you don't pull as hard on them with the 2 pound.
Yeah, which is probably important.
Yeah.
All right. I reckon that's a pretty good account. What I was particularly impressed with was the day 1, 3 and 3 casts from nothing to full bag and a good full bag. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, as I said, I thought I was going back with nothing almost. And bit of a Hail Mary and came good.
I mean, the hard thing about that is you catch your 3 fish, just 3 fish. You go, I don't know whether I can do it tomorrow. Like, it's not like you call it a dozen. So,
it made it hard to know what to do day 2. So,
very good. All right. Is there anything else with regards to the fishing we should discuss before we move on?
I don't believe so. Just I think the wind had a huge part for where I was fishing. Without that, I don't think, it didn't fire at all while it was glassed out.
Yeah, very good. All right, mate. For coming in second place, what do you get to take home?
I got to take home the sponsor pack, all the goodies, all the lures, Hurricane and OSP, and die with the whole lot of them. Got the Burley Pro bottom drawer.
Oh, for under your seat.
Yeah, so that bolts in underneath your seat basically, and it's a drawer that you can slip forward with your tackle trays on it.
Wow.
Yeah, so a bit more storage, which you never have enough, I suppose.
That's right, and being able to access it's important. To get to it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it feels like really good quality too. Like it's all powder coated aluminium, and it's a very well made unit by the look of things. Yeah,
nice.
I got the 9.15 cash.
Very good.
Which was fantastic. That helps out. Pay for the weekend. Got a trophy, which is probably the most important thing.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I've not got one yet, so that was my first trophy. Hopefully, get a few more over the years, but happy to have one. And of course, I've got the AC spot, which is fantastic.
Absolutely, that's a good little bunch of things to take away. So, all right, mate. Last thing before we shoot off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Yeah, for sure. Chris and the Hobie team. Since I've been doing the Hobie comps, it's become probably my main obsession, to be honest. I look forward to that every other week sort of thing, going away and planning where we're going to go. And that's fantastic. And meeting all the people, they're all great people. So James from HWS, spend a fair bit of time up there getting advice or getting parts, one or the other, and he's always willing to help you. So all the series sponsors put it all together. Yeah, they're fantastic, like all the lure packs and that makes it worthwhile. All the competitors, it takes a lot of time and time off work and away from the family to do these comps. And, the amount of effort everyone puts in, I think, is fantastic. It makes the event what it is. Yourself and the Bream Fishing Project, I think
Thank you.
the information I've got out of the Bream Fishing Project and the collective is second to none. I think there's nothing else out there like it. It's been fantastic. I'm sure it's helped with the majority of my fish, to be honest. I've come a long way since I've been living.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
And Mark Vandersteen, who I travel with, which is great to have someone to travel with and camp with and bounce ideas off. So he does majority of the rounds that I do. So, yeah, that's great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, mate, that's a great wrap up. Mate, I'm very impressed with the year that you've had. I think you ended up in, sixth in AOY, which is really, really good. You're off to the AC. Mate, you've been on the potty. How good's that?
Yeah, first time, mate. I hope I've done all right. Yeah, thanks for that.
No, it's a good story. It's a good story, and we appreciate you telling it. Anyway, thank you, and I'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thanks, Davey. Cheers, mate.
And finally, coming in first place, we have an angler dropping 3 fish on Saturday for 2.27. On the Sunday, another slightly bigger bag at 3 fish for 2.3, giving him a total of 4.57. And first place, I have Grant Oliver. Welcome back to the show, mate.
Thanks, mate. No, it's good to be here. It's a first time win for me, so it's a really good feeling to get out in first. I think I've had every other place a couple of times at least, and that bittersweet sort of second place in the ACs definitely sort of got me keen to do as many Hobies as I could this year, being that it was only one, but next year's looking really good as well. So, yeah.
Very good, mate. Winning is, particularly the first one, is very cool, and I don't know how you're going to go, but I certainly buzzed for a few weeks on it.
Yeah. Well, I was just sort of sitting back and soaking it in with you on Sunday afternoon, and it was just like a take a breath moment where you can just sort of do a big exhale and just, soak it all in. But we're pretty busy here in the Oliver family, so there's not too much time to sit back and ponder about what's happened. As you know, we've got our grand final coming up in 2 and 3 weeks' time. So, yeah, there's really not much time for reflection, but we just we keep on moving.
Exactly. And for those people who don't know, Grant runs the New South Wales Tournament Series, so inaugural year this year, and just coming up to their grand finals on Botany Bay, which should be run and done by the time this one comes out.
Yes. Yeah, we'll be eager to listen to what got that one on Botany Bay, and no doubt that will come out at some stage. But yeah, Botany Bay Grand Final. So we'll see what happens. 2-day event, and we'll see who comes out on top.
Yeah, and mate, as we wrap this episode up, interview up in the back end, mate, if you're happy, it'd be really cool to just run through your calendar for next year.
Yeah.
To remind people where we're off to. So
yeah, that'd be really good. Yeah, no, it was a bit of juggling. Obviously, we've got a few other tournament series that we need to consult with, and by the time you want the best moon and you want the best tides and you want the best times as far as holidays go, but when there's 4 tournament series running, there's only so many weekends in the year that you can pick from. So I think everyone did really well to not conflict as little as possible, I suppose.
Yeah, I was going to say it's pretty hard to have zero conflict.
Yeah.
But anyway, and mate, just before we move into this episode, I spoke to you about this round last year, I think.
Yes, yeah, the Basin event last year. I think it was in a different time. I think it was in a March or something like that. So it was round 3. Yeah, and it got me into the ACs as well with a 3rd place. So it was a really big field. But no, it was good to get back out there. And I didn't pre-fish it as much as I did, obviously, over that summer break. But yeah, it's definitely good to get back out in the kayak and get a win.
Very, very good. All right. So I think a bit of work went into this one. Tell us about what you did for pre-fishing and to get you prepared for the comp.
Yeah, mate, to be honest, obviously with the tournament series, in between sort of the last time I fished it, which was in April, which was the tournament series 2-day event in the Basin, that's the last time I'd fished it. So I was relying on basic marks that I've sort of gathered over the years. I've been fishing competitively since 2018, so coming up 8 years. And obviously, every time I basically caught a brim in the basin, since then I've put a mark in there. So I'm actually I'm starting to run out of room on the sounder. But yeah, it definitely starts to show you a pattern of where the fish are. I mean, I just relied on that pattern for pre-fish day. I sort of break it down. I took 4 rods out with me. One had a hard body on it, one had a prawn soft plastic on it, and the other one had a fish soft plastic, and the other one had a blade on it.
Okay.
And there's two sort of spots that I can normally rely on to at least get a bag. And one spot is sort of west of the two islands. One's called Garden Island. I'm not sure what the other one's called. The one sort of more into the lake is called Garden Island. And I also like to fish the flat coming out of One Tree Bay side as well. So if they're not sort of biting on the surface, I sort of focus on those two flats and I sort of try and figure a pattern out there. And if they're not there, I go a bit deeper.
Okay. So on pre-fish day, did you catch any fish? Did you actually dial in the pattern at all?
Yeah, well, it was howling westerly, mate. I'm not sure if you got out there for a look, but it was like probably 25 knots at 7 o'clock in the morning. So I launched over at the Sanctuary Point side and I just paddled straight across to the island. And I've got a row of marks, and it's really funny how these marks sort of sit. But just for me personally, if I'm sort of deeper or shallower of these marks, I really don't have the consistency of catching brim as I do if I'm in this sort of row of marks. And these row of marks that I've got run the length of the two islands in about that sort of 2 to 2.5 meter range.
Okay.
And I just sort of drift. I love drifting with the wind. I don't really use a power pole that much. I just sort of drift with the wind and I just sort of work through the lures as that sort of drift happens. So I caught 4 fish. I caught them on the Pro Lure clone prawn on pre-fish day, and I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool."
Hmm.
They're eating a Pro Lure prawn. The other sort of fish style that I throw is like a nemesis in a 3 inch.
As in a gulp nemesis?
Yeah, yeah, in the camo color. And I have a black Pro Lure deep crank on, and I always have a Jackal chubby on in brown suji.
Okay. And that's in the deep runner as well.
Yeah, they're both in the deep. Yeah, I tend not to fish too shallow with crankbaits just because I just get sick of just pulling weed off them every sort of cast. I find that if you get a little bit deeper, that sort of, I don't even know what it is, that sort of really thick weed that attaches to your hooks isn't as thick the deeper you go.
Hmm.
And you get this sort of run of like seagrass in the basin. Yeah, you get this run of seagrass in the basin, and I'm not sure if the prawns sit in there or the fish like to eat there, but it definitely starts around that over 2 meter range. And I just find that that's where those sort of fish sit.
Yeah. And given the weed has kind of died off a little bit in the last couple of years, did you notice that in your normal sort of fishing spots?
Yeah, a couple of years ago, my main sort of spot was on the Sanctuary Point side near the goalposts, I suppose they call it. And there used to be cockleweed out until about 2.7 meters. And we used to throw sort of a gulp shrimp or a nemesis or a sprat over the cockleweed. And that was how I was catching the fish. But the cockleweed's, it's died. So,
Mm.
whether it's just a cycle that the basin's going through or the fresh water or, for whatever reason, yeah, it's just not in the same spots as I suppose what it normally was. And to be honest, every other brim mark that I've got is west of, I suppose, those two channel markers that we call the goalposts. I don't have one mark in Errol Bay on that eastern side of the basin. So, yeah, I just focus to that western side, and generally I found if they're not around the island, they're on that other flat near One Tree Bay, and I just sort of focused on those two.
Okay. Very good. All right. So let's go into Saturday. So definitely the day started off a whole lot nicer than the pre-fish day.
Yeah, it was warmer. There was hardly any wind. And I made the decision. I actually was tossing it up still at the start line. I was just thinking, okay, like, because I caught more fish on the island, but I caught a really nice fish on the flat on the other side.
Yeah.
And there's about a 25-minute paddle from either one. And I nearly went right to that sort of other flat. And I thought, I caught more fish on that sort of island side. I'll start on the island and I'll sort of work that area and get a bag, and then I'll make the paddle over, and then I'll sort of paddle back with the wind. Yeah, so I got there. I had a deep chubby. I had a deep chubby tied on. The water was darker, so I was sort of hoping that crankbait bite, that reaction, that vibration that you get from those crankbaits would sort of excite those fish more than sort of a plastic. And that's what I found on sort of day one. I did catch them on Z-Man grubs in a motor oil colour and the clone prawn and the nemesis on day one. It's just found that the deep chubby worked best for me in that sort of 2 to 2.5 metre range, casting it as far as I could and then just sort of getting it down into that sort of weedy, sandy stuff and ripping it through it and getting that sort of reaction bite out of the fish in that darker water.
Yeah, right. Right. So if you're kind of bringing it back or ripping it through, did you find the fish were taking it as you ripped it, or was it sort of after and it paused? Like, do you have a memory of that?
No, I sort of get it down to I get it because it takes a fair bit to get a chubby below that 2 metre mark. If you wind it too fast, they actually spin clockwise, and you don't really notice this until you really start fishing like crankbaits a lot. But if you over sort of crank them, you try and crank them too fast to get them down there quick, they actually spin on the side. So it's a really slow roll getting it down to the bottom.
Yeah.
And once it starts sort of digging in, it's a fairly ferocious twitch, which I suppose it either spooks them or it gets their attention. But once I've sort of twitched it 4 or 5 times, and it's just a really slow roll back to the boat or the kayak. Yeah, really slow roll back to the kayak, and you can just feel the bib of that crankbait just digging into the sand the whole way back.
Yeah, right. In terms of fish,
Yes.
like how was your day? Like, did you start getting them straight away?
Yeah, so I pulled up on my mark. Might have been second cast. I hooked a fish. So, yeah, obviously it was about a 25-minute paddle, just sort of cruising. It's sort of nearly 3Ks, so it's about a 25, 30-minute paddle. I had my bag by 10 past 8. So it was pretty stress-free for me for both days.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. And just to put that into context,
Yeah.
why I kind of laughed a little bit in this competition, we had 1, 2, 3, 3 full bags.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sort of the way that I want to fit. Like, it's the way that I like to fish the basin.
Yeah.
In terms of numbers, the first fish was like a 30 fork fish, and I was like, oh, that's not too bad. But my sort of second fish was that sort of like, it's a fish that you want at the end of the day in a bag to really give yourself a chance and get up around that 2 kilos. And that fish never came out. It was like a 35 forker. So that was, a really good second fish at 20 to 8.
Wow. Yeah, that's insane. Okay, so both of those on the brown suji?
Brown suji, jackal chubby, deep. Yep.
Leader, line and leader?
I'm using the J Braid Grand and the standard blue J Braid.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the J Braid Grand? Yeah, that's the J Braid Grand, and then the new one, the Expedition.
Okay.
Yeah, and then obviously I have a couple of sort of heavier rods with the Atomic lines, and it's actually got a 12-pound on, which I found is really good when you want to take them up to Foster. So they're only a 0.07 as a 12-pound, and I think the other braids I'm using are like a 0.06, and they're like a 6 and 8 pounds. So yeah, it's no sort of thicker, and yeah, it's got a 12-pound breaking strain. So I'll happily throw 4-pound on that as well.
Yeah, and I think as part of our discussion afterwards, have you got a couple of rods there that you've been liking?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm sort of a feel guy with rods. I'm not a brand guy. If I go into a tackle store, I like to feel what the rod feels like in my hand. Yeah, and I've got a range of rods there. Yeah, that's for sure.
Very good. All right. So you had your 2 fish at what do we say, 20 to 8 or something silly like
Yeah,
that?
mate. Yeah, pretty quick.
And how'd it go on from there?
Mate, yeah, so I filled my limit at sort of 10 past 8, and that's sort of where a younger me probably would have stayed there all day and just kept catching. So when you're fishing a 2-day tournament, you really have to think, am I gonna leave this area here? You know, you still want a good bag, but you also want to be able to go back there tomorrow and know that you're going to catch another bag, because
Yeah.
there's no point catching 2.5 kilos tomorrow, on day one, and cycling through 10 or 12 big fish. When I say big fish, I suppose like 32 fork to get a 33 fork to get a 34 fork, and then going there the next day and only catching a kilo. So once I sort of caught my limit on the deep chubby, I sort of had that freedom to throw a lure that I suppose was different. When I just thought, well, maybe there's a few bigger fish out there that want a bigger bait. I tried the Zip Baits lead bomb in the black.
Okay. Well, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm not sure what color it is anyway. It's just like a black crank, but it's got a bigger profile. It's definitely more suited to those sort of black brim, but I have used it to success, and it generally gets those bigger bites as well. So I threw that around, and normally the black crankbaits and the basin, and they sort of go hand in hand, but I couldn't get a fish on a black crankbait. Not a fish that sort of counted to my limit anyway. Like, I caught fish on the black crank, and yeah, it just wasn't the fish, the quality of the fish that were eating the brown suji. So it was sort of, yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, as it turns out, so sorry, did you leave the island? Did you go across to One Tree?
Yeah, I did make the trip across there, and I probably shouldn't have, but I caught a really nice fish there on pre-fish. So I would have been kicking myself if I was a fair bit out of the lead after day one, and I didn't go over there and at least just sort of suss it out. I got over there and caught maybe 2 fish that were like 27 fork, and then yeah, it was really quiet on that side.
Yeah. Fair enough. And last thing before we kind of move off day one, was there any late upgrades?
Once I left the island, no. So I made the decision that I felt that I had enough in the limit to at least give me a chance for day two. I never weigh my fish. I just go off the fork length. Yeah, and I think they were all around that sort of 33 fork, I suppose, after I probably cycled through about 10 different fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 10 fish on the island over that side, and then a couple more on the other side that really didn't contribute. So yeah. And then I sort of just rode the wind in, and day one was done.
Day one was done. 2.27. Must have had you in second place, I'd imagine.
Second place. Yep.
Second place behind Jared, who did have a lovely bag as well.
Yeah. I was expecting, like, that's the thing. Like, someone's always having the best day on the water, and someone's always having their worst day on the water.
Yeah.
And you don't know, what type of limits are going to come in with everyone else. And I was expecting someone to have like a 2.7 and a 2 point, something that the basin is known to do.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, well, I definitely don't have that, but I've definitely got a chance with what I've got in my bag.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. So we head off on Sunday morning. Obviously, a different day, a lot of still water for a lot of the day. Tell us how your day played out.
Yeah, so I just sort of, it was really good driving back home. Obviously, I'm local to the area. Go back, see the boys, sit down, tie leaders in your own home, sleep in your own beds. And I made my decision that night that I was just going to commit to the island, and that's where I was going to stay.
Yeah.
And I was really confident to fill another bag because I left those fish sort of biting, I suppose, on day one. So we took off in day two. It was a funny day. There was a little bit of wind to start the day, and then it went pretty glassy.
Mm.
Yeah, and I sort of had my limit. Well, I caught 2 fish fairly early on the western side of that island again, doing the exact same thing.
Yeah. Wow.
And then it was sort of very quiet. I found that, yeah, the bite had definitely slowed on that side.
Yeah. So if you caught 2 fish early, What sort of caliber are we talking?
One of them I would have been happy with. It was probably a 30 fork.
Yep.
And then the other one was probably the smallest fish that I'd caught all weekend, maybe like just, a couple centimetres over legal, which is 26 to the tip is legal. So it might have been 28 or something like that.
Yeah, okay. So you would have had probably around that kilo, maybe just under
Yeah.
your two fish. I was trying to work out at what point did you win it?
Yes. There was a fair few more sort of boats in the area on day 2 for whatever reason. And I felt the bite was definitely a little bit shut down on that side. On the way back on pre-fish on Friday, I fished on the eastern side of the island for maybe 5 minutes, and I hooked 2 fish within that time. And I marked that, and it was in the exact same depth as what I was fishing on the other side. It got to 9:30, and I was just thinking, I just felt like it's not going to happen on this side of the island. I said, oh, I'll just go up to those two. I'll go up to those 2 marks, and I'll just give that a try because I'm not going across the lake now. And this was right when it got glassy, mate. So I suppose it was 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had 2 fish in the well, and I got up to that mark and I threw the chubby out. And the first cast that I threw it out, it got monstered.
Right.
Yeah. So it was literally just throw her out, crank, get her down, and then smash. And this thing hit this lure, and it was the biggest fish that I'd caught all weekend. It was like a 37 fork fish.
Right.
So that's when at the exact same time, Chris sort of flew past me, and he didn't know it was me because I'd changed my whole outfit. It was starting to get really hot at the time. And just then, that was the fish that I just thought, well, I might have a chance to win this.
Yeah.
And that was that sort of moment where I filled a limit. It's a really nice fish. I've got one in there that I don't really want, and there's one in there that I'd be happy to have in the bag.
Yeah. And look, I was going to say, given you won it by just over a kilo, I'd say
Yes.
at that point, you don't know it, but the competition's yours.
Yeah. But you've got no idea. Like when you've got people up there, like when you've got Naughty 1.98, you've got Jared obviously 2.4 something. There was a lady there too that weighed a really nice bag. I
Yeah,
hadn't met
Leanne.
her before. Leanne, yep. And then you obviously had Morley sort of in and around there. When you've got that sort of caliber of guys that have been doing it for that long, 3 kilos wasn't off the tables. They could easily bang a couple of really nice fish.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you come in and you get overtaken by 2 or 3 spots, which has sort of happened to me before. So
100%.
yeah.
I mean, the basin, like somebody could have caught a 1.6, 1.7, and then all of a sudden your bag is 3 kilos. You got 2 other reasonable fish.
Yeah, exactly. I was actually speaking to one of the boys when the basin event was on, and he said, what do you reckon the biggest tournament fish is that's ever been caught out of there? And I said, oh, mate, I don't know, 1.5, 1.6. Anyway, how big do you reckon the fish was that was caught in there?
Me, 2.505 or something like that.
It was bigger than that.
Really?
It was like 2.54 or 2.58 or something for one fish. So that was just playing through my mind that someone had a giant, and I don't have enough, That's what I was thinking the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. And there's definitely been comps. I saw a comp where there was 2 fish weighed in over 1.9 for 2 different people.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
And you're
exactly.
like, get one of those in your bag or 2 if that's, yeah, anything can happen.
Yeah, so I filled my limit and spoke to Chris for a bit, and yeah, we were just I was sort of a lot more relaxed once I'd had that at least 3rd fish in the well. And I went through my tackle box and I was like, what can I throw here that is a little bit different to what I've been throwing, but it's sort of the same. And I bought a couple of Suji coloured jackal chubbies. So
okay.
Suji, the difference between the brown Suji and the Suji is that obviously that everyone knows what the brown Suji looks like, but the Suji colour has like a yellowy head with like a clear pearl coloured body with obviously the prawn markings that run down it.
Yeah.
I threw that out there, and within 25 minutes, I upgraded my limit 5 times.
Really?
Yeah, and I'd never thrown that colour before on the basin. I was always like a black, deep black crank or a brown Suji shrimp guy, and also like a hurricane. I think it's called the UV colour,
Mm.
the natural prawn UV. Or so that for me that was new as well. But I just had that freedom once I filled a limit to sort of try and get those upgrades in a different way.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. I'm quite blown away. If you upgrade 4 or 5 times or whatever it is,
Yeah,
that's incredible in context of the competition.
yeah. Well, yeah. I was expecting Jared to, when you catch 2.41 on day one, the calorie guys that are fishing in these events, you feel like they can do that any day of the week, So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's the worst thing. You never really know if it's enough.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. All right. So I guess the day sort of ground out and it was time to head back. What were your thoughts pedaling back? You're thinking, oh, I'm a chance. I've got it. What's on your mind?
The fish that I upgraded, obviously I had that 26 tip in there or 28 tip. I had that other 30 fork fish. So I upgraded both of those to a 30 and a half fork. And then I upgraded one of them to a 33 fork. So I had that sort of 30 fork fish in there, and that westerly kicked up late,
Mm.
and it was maybe 1:45. And I was like, oh, I've got 15 minutes. So I'm going to give myself an hour to get back. I'll do one more drift with the wind. And 2 casts later, the 35 fork hits the net.
Wow.
So I've got sort of two 35 forks in there and a 33 fork. And I just said to myself, okay, like that's the best I can do. I'm not going to push another drift here and arrive late. And I was going far out, like, I haven't checked my pedals in a while. Are these things going to last into this wind? I don't want to push them too hard and break a drive. All those thoughts are going through.
Yep.
Do I have enough time? Because that westerly was pretty strong. At one point there, I was only doing sort of 3Ks an hour, 3.5Ks an hour, and I had 3Ks to go. So
Yep.
all these thoughts are running through my mind. How's the live well? Is that working? So, but yeah, we got back there and got the key tag in, and the rest is history, I suppose.
That's it. That's it. Well, as it turns out, you won by just over a kilo, which is great win on any system.
Yeah.
And on what was tough for almost everyone else in the comp was tough conditions,
Yeah. I don't know what I put it down to. I suppose it's just the fact that I fish in spots where I know the fish are, but you just need to find what they're biting. So at least having that confidence to know that those fish are there, and you just need to figure out what they're eating is a huge advantage.
Yeah. And it sounds like your pre-fish helped you definitely on the way to that. Cycled through a few lures and then comp day one. Yeah, kind of worked it out.
Yeah. If I was going to sit down with someone and say, what's the perfect scenario for you to fish a basin and have a chance, it would be deep crankbaits and a nemesis bite. And we had that. So
Yeah,
it was sort of the perfect scenario.
perfect. All right. What we might do is let's run through what you got to take home for first place.
So there was a $1,500 check, which was really nice. The trophy went in the man cave with the first place on it. I've got every other place in there.
Yep.
I got a Kimmy card, which I'm very excited to use. I got a whole heap of great lures. I got a couple of bent minnows. I got a couple of atomic cranks, which are always really, really good. I got a couple of hurricane lures as well. So a few jig heads. It was a really nice little prize pack as well as that cash.
That cash. And I think, I'm not sure whether you mentioned a ticket to the AC.
Oh, yeah. So ticket to the AC too. I felt like a bit of a ring in where I sort of just blow in on a local waterway and take an AC spot. It's the only event that I've sort of fished all year. But yeah, it's something that I'm definitely going to look forward to next year and try and sort of maybe do one better than last year and see what we can do up at the grand final venue.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Let's roll into, we'll just run quickly through your New South Wales tournaments for those who haven't caught it on your socials and what have you.
So if anyone is interested in fishing, obviously we've only got one event left for the year. So we've had over 70 different teams compete in this year's series, which I think is a great result for us. We're a little family-run business. I employ one guy that helps me out. And yeah, our top 40 are going through to the grand final next month. But looking into next year and beyond, it's going to be a very similar format to this year, totally different dates to this year. And there's a few different venues as well. So we're not going to start in February like we did this year. We started our Hawkesbury event in February this year, but we're going to leave February free, and we're actually going to start our year with a 2-day event in Lake Mac. So
Okay.
14th and 15th of March.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be there. It's going to be a Lake Mac event, which is sort of, March is a really good time to fish anywhere, but I think Lake Mac's going to be amazing. So we're going to get up there and do that.
Fair enough. Whereabouts are you launching out of? You worked that out?
We're going to launch out of, well, you're going to have to drive there, but it is from the caravan park at Wangi Point.
Yep.
So that will be, that'll be round one, Lake Mac. So Lake Mac is a fan favourite for most guys. It's sort of within driving distance from Sydney, but you can also get there from the North Coast fairly easy as well. So that's our round one.
Very good.
Round two, 26th of April, we're going to be in the Hawkesbury for a single day event.
Mm-hmm.
And that will be run out of Bayview Park. Is it Bayview Park? Or is Bayview Park the harbour? No, it might be run out of the dog park anyway.
Yeah,
So
I think it's Bayview.
Yeah, in Pittwater there.
In Pittwater, and that's on the 26th of April, which is, that would be the long weekend. I was just checking that up.
Yeah, there you go.
So
obviously, we're running out of dates to use, so we've had to do that on there. But yeah, the Hawkesbury in April is always a Hawkesbury sort of February, March, April, May is an amazing venue.
Yeah, exactly. And just as a point of reference, people know it's on the long weekend. It's pretty easy to remember.
Yeah. So that must be the Anzac Day long weekend.
That's the Anzac Day long weekend. So you've got the Monday is the public holiday.
Okay, so the 25th is the Saturday, which is Anzac Day. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And then May's a pretty busy month for bream fishing. Obviously, you've got the ABT comes down and they do a Hawkesbury event 2-day, and then they do a Harbour Australian Open.
Mm-hmm.
So we try and stay off both of those waterways around that time, but we are going to be in Botany on the 31st of May.
Okay.
And yeah, once again, you'll have to commute to the briefing site and the weigh-in site, which will be on the Sandringham Beach.
Yep. Where the Southern Bream used to be.
Yeah, once we've sort of started to build a relationship with the councils and they sort of know that the tournament series does things the right way and books everything in and ensures that we meet the satisfaction of sort of the parties involved, they're more than happy for us to run these events, which is really good.
Very, very good. All right. Then where are you going to head to, mate?
Mate, round 4, Basin. It's going to be June. It's going to be the 28th of June.
Yeah, very good.
And we're going to try and run that again out of the same caravan park that we did this year, except it's not a 2-day event this year. It's just a single-day event. Yeah, and the caravan park we run that out of, it's obviously as you come into the Sussex side, once the houses start on the southern side of the channel, there's 2 or 3 caravan parks in a row. So the one that we're going to try and use is, where are we here? Sussex Inlet, just before, because I don't want to get the name wrong. It's not Badgie Park and it's not Emeroo. It's the one in between that. It's Riviera Caravan Park.
Very, very good. And that's on the Sussex side.
Yeah, and they've got sort of a cafe there. They've got, it's a really nice place to put your boat. There's plenty of room to park your boat. And the guy next door approached me as well and said, if you want to use my area too, you're more than welcome next year. So that's at the Explorin Park right next to that. So yeah, so we've got a few different options there, but it's going to be in the Basin and it's going to be on the 20, let me get my calendar back up here, so many dates, 28th of June.
Yep.
And then round 5, which will be our last event Will that be our last event of the year? Actually, I haven't had a 6. No, I've forgotten one. I haven't put the harbour in. Where did I put the harbour? Yeah, so we've got the harbour. We've got round 5, the 12th and the 13th of the 9th. And we're going to do that at Malakuta.
Right, so in September.
September, Kuta. Yeah, so we fished a Hobie event last year there in October.
Mhm.
And yeah, guys that found them got some really good weights. So we're hoping for that sort of pre-spawn bite in September for those black brim that like to spawn in that sort of late October, early November period.
Yeah. I was going to say the Vic Brim, they had to reschedule theirs to September this year. And I think Liam and Marlon, they end up with just over 9 kilos for their
Yeah,
10 fish. Yeah, I think most of
that's
the
a
field got
really good
bags. So
weight
it's a pretty
of
good time
fish
of year.
wherever you are, mate. If you can get 10 kilos of brim in 2 days, or 9 or 10 kilos of brim, that's really, really good.
You'd take that.
Yeah, so round 6, and my phone's literally just run out of battery.
Yep.
But round 6 will be the harbour, and it will be in October.
Very good.
And then we're going to roll into our grand final. Now, yeah, Malakuta is going to be our second 2-day tournament. It's going to be we're only running 2 2-day tournaments this year.
Yep.
Or next year. And then, yeah, obviously round 6 will be in the harbour in October. And then, yeah, so now you've got to fish 5 rounds to qualify for the grand final. Well, if you want to fish 5 rounds to have a chance of your AOY.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this year our top 40, everyone fished at least 3 rounds to ensure that they get into that grand final spot. And in 3 weeks, we're giving away we're giving away $5,000 for first place. So it's a nice payday, that's for sure.
Absolutely. On a great system.
Yeah, botany. I've got a bit of a love-hate with botany as well.
Yep.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting after this rain, obviously, where they're going to be and what they're going to be doing. So there's a couple of locals there. So sort of Team Flat Nacky, I think they sort of are fairly sort of local to that. Obviously, you've got Mark Crompton and Glenn they've been there, done it and won it. They've done everything basically you can do. You've got your Colatoris. You've got Dave Masters, who's had his back-to-back wins this year. You've got Jason Mayberry. You've got some real quality names up there that 5 kilos is definitely an option, that's for sure.
Very, very good. All right, mate. Sounds like a cracking season coming up. You've got your grand final on its way. I think it's all very exciting. So, mate, I want to congratulate you for your first win. I'm pretty happy for you that it was a Hobie. And yeah, well done.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, no, it was good. Yeah, no, it's really, really nice to finally get a win, that's for sure.
Absolutely. All right, mate. Last thing before we shoot off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Mate, obviously our sponsors for this year's tournament series. So Adam from fishing.com.au. We've obviously got Zip Baits, we've got Samurai, we've got Frogley's Offshore and Atomic as our naming sponsors. We've got Tonic Eyewear, who do a really good pair of sunnies. Yeah, so they've been great this year. We're going to start engaging with sponsors and possible sponsors in the next couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the work doesn't stop for us and the team here at New South Wales Tournament Series. Once the grand final finishes, we have to sit down and talk to everyone again. So that's what we'll be doing.
Sounds like a plan, mate. Sounds like a plan. All right, mate. Mate, it's been a great chat. I want to thank you again for coming on. And
that's all right, mate. It's my pleasure.
Hopefully see you at the AC, mate.
Thanks, mate. I'll be there. Thanks, mate.
Thank you. All right. So look, I hope you enjoyed that. It was particularly interesting. There was definitely a theme with those anglers. They all fished around the islands. And yeah, I think Grant Oliver absolutely dominated with. There was only 2 other people that got full bags. And as you heard in the interview, he definitely did better than that. All right. Now, the big question. So for people who don't know, the Hurricane team for a long time, Simon Morley and Tony Petty, were referred to from Peter Nord or by Peter Nord as Batman and Robin. And the deal is whoever's highest ranked gets to be Batman. Whoever's lowest ranked is Robin. So in this round, Simon Morley's Batman. He came in 7th with 2.58. And I laugh because Tony Petty came in 8th with 2.57, a mere 10 grams different, which leads us to the AOY for the year. Now, I'll jump over there and have a quick look at that and tell you exactly how that played out. In terms of the Batman and Robin situation, in second place, we have Simon Morley, Batman for the year of 2025, followed up by Tony Petty in third place. So there you go. So while I've got that up and running, obviously Joseph Gardner took out Angler of the Year for 2024 and 2025. Second was Simon Morley. Third, Tony Petty. Fourth, Jack Gammy. Fifth, Ryan Honeybrook. Sixth, Adam Lalor. Seventh, Rick King. Eighth, Brendan Purcell. Ninth, Greg Cooper. And 10th, Peter Nord. So there you go. What a cracking year. And Luke Rogan in 12th position, but I've got a feeling he only fished 4 rounds. So Luke Rogan in 12th position had a cracking year with just one round, which was a bit rough. So there you go. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for hanging in to the end of it. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back next week with more on the Bream Fishing Project.
Thanks for listening. Hopefully you were informed, inspired and entertained. If you were able to learn something or just enjoyed listening, please consider subscribing and rate us on your favourite podcasting platform.